This is probably the most asked question. Sara, how much money do you spend when you live in Poland? So, I decided today is the day. I shall let you know. I'm gonna tell you today how much money I spend living in Poland in a month. Now, this is kind of obvious, but currency's slow, okay? They go up and down in value. And of course, it depends on the offers that you find and how creative you are and good with money you are to budget your money. So take this with a pinch of salt, but here is the breakdown. First and most importantly, rent. Okay, so I actually got really lucky with finding an apartment that is super cheap for Wrocław area, and I pay 1,100 zloty of rent per month. Now, bear in mind, this usually doesn't look like this, and I know a lot of my colleagues pay around 1,400 zloty to rent a room in an apartment or a room in a house. So this was super, super lucky, a 1 in 1,000 sort of find. My biggest tip, if you're trying to save money and living in Poland, then if you're living in a big city, try and find houses or apartments that are a little bit outside of the city center. That way it's usually a bit cheaper and the apartments are usually a little bit bigger for the price. Number two, Wi-Fi, okay? Because at least in my case, I pay my utilities within rent. The Wi-Fi was not included. So I found a regular plan, just Wi-Fi, that's it, like no TV, no other sort of added stuff. And I pay around 85 zloty per month. I'm sure there are cheaper options. This was just out of convenience. I just went to a shopping mall where they had like a bunch of different stores with internet providers. So I ended up with this price. Number three, the thing that I spend money on in a month in Poland is my travel card. And that is 110 zloty per month. Again, this can really vary depending on whether you want to pay for 6 months at a time. Then it's usually a little bit cheaper, but I just rather paying every month the same amount. And that way, if I am away or if I'm traveling or visiting family, then I'm not paying or wasting money whilst I'm away. So I pay the 110 zloty travel card, and that basically covers any sort of line for trams, buses, and public transportation in general. And I think it's really handy to have a travel card instead of just buying individual tickets, especially as a commuter. This makes sense if you're traveling a lot around the city, and in my case, it's just one issue out of mind, like when you have a card, you can just jump on any sort of public transportation without thinking if you have a ticket. It's just super convenient. Number four, phone. Okay, so I pay a 35 zloty plan. Again, super, super basic. It has only a couple gigabytes of internet and then just calls in and out. So it's a super basic plan, and I'm sure you can pay even less. I think internet and phone providers are actually really good price in Poland. So I only pay 35 per month. And I think another category worth mentioning that I pay regularly is obviously food. Now, again, this varies on your diet, on your preferences, on how do you meal prep, or whether you don't, or whether you go to eat in the city or order takeout. If you want to be on a budget, it's definitely doable. I pay around 200 zloty per week for shopping, and this usually is below that price. I mean, it depends if you buy like frozen vegetables or like fresh produce. It depends how you cook and how you eat. 200 zloty for me is 100% enough, and this obviously isn't too limiting when it comes to food in a grocery store, but monthly I don't really eat in restaurants at all. I mean, rarely. I like to explore places in the city, but rarely do I like regularly go and eat in the city. So maybe give or take, I would spend 100 zloty max, because let's say a nicer meal would cost about 50. So yeah, let's add 100 just for good measure. That would also probably include the snacks and the drinks that I buy at lunch break. I mean, how can you just say no to a convenience store lemonade? Like, So for the essentials, okay, counting out that 100 zloty for extra fun little snacks and food in the city, it's about 2,125 zloty per month. Counting in that 100 zloty, it is still way below 3,000 zloty per month. Under 3,000 zloty per month for like literally everything, I think it's a pretty affordable country to live in. Of course, when I say that, I bear in mind the fact that people's salaries vary and their life situations vary. So of course, this is, you know, give or take. However, this is how I spend money in Poland, and these are the realistic costs for me. I think what really racks up the spendings in Poland is definitely the rent. Usually it's the rent that causes the most issues when it comes to big cities in Poland like Warsaw, Wrocław, Gdańsk, or other cities that are also quite large. Bear in mind that big cities are usually more expensive. So I got really lucky. I'm very, very aware of that. Another question that I get is whether you can pay by card in Poland. And to answer that, quite frankly, yes, you can. But of course, there are some places that are a bit more old school. They'll most likely take cash more often. However, I think most places take card at the moment. Any supermarket takes card. Petrol stations, like the essentials, they'll take card. Someone also asked me to give examples of how much things cost. For example, a drink at a coffee shop. So most often I would say that coffee shops would sell a drink like a matcha or a nice coffee for around 25, sometimes to 30 zloty. So it really depends where you go, but I would say that's about the price of a nice hot drink or an iced one. Do you know what's actual crime in broad daylight? It's the price of ice cream scoops. I still remember when I was a kid in Poland that an ice cream scoop would cost 2 zloty, and everyone was furious when it started costing 3 zloty, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. Do you know how much it costs now? 9 zloty. 9 zloty for a single scoop. Craziness, crazy. You might have also noticed that I didn't say gym or like social activities in my finance breakdown. That's because actually the job I have provides a sports card in Poland. It's called Multisport. You can look it up. It's a program where basically it allows employers to provide this card for their employees. And this card allows you to basically attend most gyms in big cities and a lot of sports facilities for either for free within this card or at a very discounted price. So actually my gym membership cost me nothing, which is another great win. And I'm a huge fan of spending time that won't really cost you that much money. For example, last weekend, one of the more affordable ways of spending time during the summer is going hiking. Here in Wrocław, the mountains are literally 2 hours away by train. With super easy connections right by the courses and the hiking trails. So yeah, me and a few of my colleagues recently went. It was absolutely stunning and only cost us 30 zloty of this train ride there and back. Now the burgers at the end of the trail, they weren't 30 zloty, but those were optional. Do you get me? This video, short and sweet, but I hope it was informative to you and answered some of your questions. How affordable Poland really is and how much things cost and sort of just a very general outlook on how much you can spend living in Poland. Thank you so much for watching. Also, thank you so much for watching the podcast All Things Flow. It's a podcast of me and my dear friend Selena, and we actually are getting to know each other in that podcast at the same time that our listeners are getting to know us, because we only met twice in person. And if you want to know the story, then you're more than welcome to listen to our first episode. It's all going to be linked down below, so you can go ahead and do that. And yeah, if you like this video or have any more questions, you already know what to do. You're on YouTube. You know what I mean? Leave a comment, give a like, and I'll see you next time. Bye!